Hello guys, and welcome to Lucidity and Beyond, where we dive into the world of lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, and beyond. And I'm your host, Haley, also known as the Lucid Mystic, and I am so excited to be back with you guys today. It's a lot later in the day than it was in the first episode, and so it's like pitch black outside. It's really, really cold. It's actually snowing outside. So I am ready to be really, really cozy, get really, really comfy for this episode and talk about my story with dreaming, with lucid dreaming, and how I got into it and how it has really changed my entire life. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It really has completely transformed my life. And I would not be the same person without dream work and lucid dreaming. It has given me so much life, not only allowed me to get my life back from going through so many physical obstacles with my health, but it has allowed me to feel so much more lively and childlike and really look at the world in a different way. So I'm excited to chat with you guys about that. And also, before we get too far into this episode, I did want to touch on what dreaming is, what lucid dreaming is. I hope most of you know what dreaming is. A lot of us don't know why we dream, but everybody dreams every single night. We actually dream as a part of our REM sleep. So REM sleep is the stage of sleep where our dreams happen and where our body is paralyzed so we don't act out our dreams. So if you've ever woken up with sleep paralysis or have ever had an experience like that when using it to induce a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience, that's a great way to know that you were in REM sleep. So anytime you wake up directly from a dream, that's a pretty good sign that you are in dreaming sleep. So that would be a great time to do a technique. And some people ask about that. Well, what if I don't remember my dreams? And we're going to get into this more in the next episode, but everybody dreams. Dreaming is just a skill. It's something that we have to work with, and we can use things like our dream journal, which is really just a memory building tool to help us remember our dreams. And once we start remembering our dreams every single night, then we can really start doing some deep work with our dreams and decoding the symbolism within our dreams and starting to spot patterns within our dreams, which ultimately helps us get lucid. So really, dream work just starts with simply writing our dreams down or just trying to remember your dreams. And we'll talk a lot more about that specifically in the next episode. So let's talk about lucid dreaming in particular. What defines a lucid dream? Well, a lucid dream is a dream in which you know that you're dreaming as the dream is happening. So that's what defines a lucid dream, is the awareness that you are dreaming, that you are inside of a dream. Now, most people's first experiences with lucid dreaming usually comes in the form of nightmares as a child. I'm sure a lot of you have had those dreams where you are trying to wake yourself up. Maybe you're running from something and you're trying to wake yourself up. At some level, you know that you're dreaming, right? Because you're trying to wake yourself up from the dream. So that is actually considered a lucid dream. So most of our first experiences with dreaming or lucid dreaming happens when we are little. Now, we have always had the ability to lucid dream, but it definitely comes easier to us when we're children. We kind of lose the ability to be really open-hearted, open-minded, and really present and aware of our surroundings. And those are all things that help us lucid dream more, that help us lucid dream naturally without having to do techniques, is creating a habit of curiosity and awareness and allowing that to habitually show up in your dreams. And we're going to talk more about how to lucid dream throughout this podcast. But I really want you guys to understand what lucid dreaming is, because once you understand what it is, you can start to understand how to actually induce it, and that there's levels of lucidity, just like those levels of awareness. I'm sure those of you who have had a lucid dream, so a dream in which you know that you're dreaming, I'm sure you knew you were dreaming at one point, but then maybe you started to forget that you were dreaming, right? And then it turns into a normal dream. If that's happened to you, that means that you were having a lucid dream, but it was going back to a non-lucid dream. And that's because of how much awareness we have in the dream. Some lucid dreams will have a high amount of awareness that we are dreaming. And this allows us to influence and kind of control the dream in a sense and move through it consciously. But then if our awareness kind of drops below a specific threshold, then we can kind of get too caught up with the dream content and forget that we're dreaming. And that's just part of the journey. The more that you lucid dream, the more that you'll be able to maintain awareness within your dreams and build that awareness so you can have really powerful conscious experiences in your dreams. And there's so much more to lucid dreaming than just flying around, which is so fun. But I noticed that's something a lot of people gravitate to is, oh, as soon as I knew I was lucid dreaming, I just shot up in the air and I started flying and just exploring the dream space, which is so amazing, right? That we can even do that and that it feels as real as it does. But there's so much inner work that we can also do within the lucid dream. For example, working with dream characters. Dream characters are actually archetypes within our subconscious mind. So one dream character may represent your inner child. Another one may represent your inner anger. Maybe another dream character that you run into represents your creativity or some of your fears or your phobias. And if you know that you're dreaming and you can consciously talk to those parts of yourself and ask questions, imagine how much clarity you can create about the inner self, about who you are, about your desires and your fears, and how to actually use that information in waking life to achieve your goals and really to break through your own limitations. So lucid dreaming can really be used as a form of therapy. I call it dream therapy in a sense because there's so much to discover about the inner self. About 95% of our brain is controlled and ran by our subconscious mind. Only 5% or less is our conscious mind. So who we know right here and now. Imagine how much there is to explore when you're conscious within your dreams, which is really the home of your subconscious. That's why everything can be so profound and personal within our dreams. It's because we're speaking to our subconscious, our inner self. And we're going to talk a lot more about lucid dreaming and what is possible through lucid dreaming. But I just want you to understand some of the potential that we're working with here. And one more important fact to know about lucid dreaming is when we're lucid dreaming, so when we know that we're dreaming as the dream is happening, the brain doesn't actually know that we're in a dream. How cool is that? It's real to the brain. The brain cannot tell the difference between something we are dreaming about, something that is actually happening, and something that we are thinking about or mentally rehearsing in our minds. So because of that, it has a really powerful impact on us psychologically, for example. There was actually a sports science study that Charlie Morley talked about. And they took a handful of athletes and they had them run, do squats, and lift weights in the lucid dream for an extended amount of time, maybe like 30 or 60 days. After the 30 or 60 days, a huge majority, more than half, I think it was like either 70 or 80% of the athletes improved in speed, accuracy, and muscle mass just from extra training while they were dreaming, while they were consciously dreaming. And I'm not sure if you've heard of how powerful mental rehearsal is, like rehearsing an interview before you actually go in and do it, or rehearsing actually making the shot if you play sports or something. It's a real experience to your brain. So when you mentally rehearse it, your brain already feels like it has had extra experience practicing that thing. So when you actually go and do it in physical waking life, it doesn't feel like the first time that you have done it. So what does this mean for dreaming? It means that we can actually practice skills. We can rehearse events before they happen, and we can reprogram our brain through the lucid dream. So now that we know what lucid dreaming is, I want to talk about really quickly the difference between lucid dreaming and astral projection or out-of-body experiences, because that is a topic that they're really connected, actually, lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences. And you can even induce, for example, an out-of-body experience from a lucid dream. So they work with similar states of consciousness, and sometimes they can feel similar. So really quickly, I just want to touch on what the difference is between lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences. So as we discussed, lucid dreaming happens during sleep, REM sleep specifically. And in order to have a lucid dream, you need to be asleep. And lucid dreaming is like us taking our conscious awareness and shining it inward. So it gives us the ability to explore our inner self. Out-of-body experiences or astral projection can happen outside of sleep. It can be induced consciously or by something like trauma, which comes in the form of a near-death experience. If you've come close to death, some people will have an out-of-body experience, which is induced by trauma. So that is a near-death experience. But that is not the only way we can have an experience like that, thankfully, and we can use it to induce really transcendental, spiritual, beautiful states, just like lucid dreaming. But the point of that is astral projection or out-of-body experiences can happen outside of sleep. They can also happen when we're sleeping, but they can happen in other states of consciousness as well. And lucid dreaming is like taking our conscious awareness and shining it inward to explore the inner self. But out-of-body experiences or astral projection, that's like us taking our conscious awareness and exploring outside of ourselves. So exploring this reality and beyond this reality. So lucid dreaming is exploring the inner self. Out-of-body experiences is allowing the self or our awareness to explore outwards, things that are outside of ourselves and our experience. Both are extremely powerful, vivid, and realistic experiences that can really provide a lot of clarity, can really give us a lot of answers, and allow us to have the most beautiful experiences in which we wouldn't be able to experience just in normal waking life. And I always say that learning one of these skills really allows the other one to come more easily. As soon as I started consciously practicing lucid dreaming, I was having spontaneous out-of-body experiences. And sometimes I would wake up while my body was still asleep. So that means that I was in REM sleep because my body was paralyzed. This is called the vibrational state or sleep paralysis. And it is just a symptom of the body being asleep. But this actually gives us the ability to enter dreams consciously or use this state to induce an out-of-body experience. So after practicing lucid dreaming and getting into dream work really deeply, sometimes I would wake up either having an out-of-body experience or almost feeling like I was out of my body. It was a very crazy experience. So lucid dreaming led me down that path of exploring that more. Now, I want to quickly talk about my story, how I got into dream work and lucid dreaming. How did this all come about in my life? And I really believe that it was given to me in a sense, because it's allowed me to discover so much about myself and my purpose and what I'm meant to do and create. And so I really think that it was divinely given to me somehow. But I've always been a dreamy child. I always had really vivid dreams. I was always playing outside and just really using my imagination to create worlds that I couldn't physically see or that weren't physically tangible. As we talked about before, I did have spontaneous lucid dreams when I was younger, but they were in the form of nightmares. I had a lot of nightmares when I was younger, and I didn't necessarily have the easiest childhood, especially specific times in my life, like when I was around 6 or 7, and that's really when the nightmares were at their peak. And at that time, of course, I didn't really know how to work with them. And so I would always just try to wake myself up. There were so many experiences that I couldn't explain when I was younger, even to this day. And so many experiences that happened while I was wide awake in my room as well. And we'll have to talk more about those in the future. I have a whole set of stories, but my mind was very open from a young age. And I definitely had really weird experiences that I couldn't really understand. And as I got older, I kind of forgot about dreaming because going through school and growing up a little bit, it definitely was difficult for a period of time, and I would say when I was 13 and 14, that's when I really started to lose touch with my dreams. I think the anxiety of going to school and all of the difficult experiences that I went through during my childhood and in school and at home, it just caused me to lose touch with that world, that side of myself for a period of time. And it really didn't come back to me until it knew that I needed it. So I started feeling really depressed and going through anxiety and everything that I dealt with as a teenager that I really didn't know how to handle. But as I went through that, I started to develop stomach issues, digestive issues, because of all of the stress and just how I felt. I developed IBS, gastritis, stomach ulcers, esophagitis, so many different gastrointestinal issues. And I truly believe it was because of the anxiety and all the stress and the depression that I was going through during that time in my life. And I remember even after I graduated school, when I was 17 or 18, I couldn't even hold a job. I couldn't even get out of bed in the morning. It was the most excruciating, sharp, horrible pain that I could ever explain. I was like coughing up blood. I was always being rushed to the ER. And this was at this point, I was with my boyfriend, Chance, who I am with now. I've been with him for about 8 years. And when we met, I was in the midst of all of my digestive issues. I just graduated. I just got out of my parents' house. I caught myself in really horrible, dangerous situations, pretty much up until I met him. So, I'm not even kidding, probably 7 and 8 years old and up until I met Chance when I was 18. It was really difficult for me, and physically what started to develop because of what I was experiencing. So he met me like in the midst of all of that, and bless his heart, and I'm so grateful that he stuck with me. But the run around with the doctors and trying all these different medications and paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to anyone we could find and visiting the best doctors in the state and being rushed to the hospital constantly, that was all with him. And I'm going to have him on the podcast soon, so he can talk about his experience with it and how crazy that this, how crazy this all was, and that we were able to find the clarity and the guidance we needed through my dreams. That still just blows my mind. But I remember just the runaround of try this medication. Oh, we'll refer you here, we'll refer you there. I reached a point where it was after we visited the best hospital in the state, and they told me that they couldn't do anything for me, just to try not to stress, but here's another medication that we can try. If it's not working or it's making you feel horrible, we'll just up the dose, is pretty much what I was told. So at this point, I was on 8 different medications. And I just felt like my life was taken from me. I felt like I was a zombie. And it all made sense at that point. All of everything that I went through, when I was younger and in school, all of that emotional kind of pain really started to manifest physically. And that was, after we visited the best hospital in the state, that was the height of me feeling my worst. And I just remember sitting in the hospital after they told me that there's nothing they can do for me. I just remember crying, just breaking down. And I felt so defeated and so angry, but also like I was going to figure it out myself. I was going to figure out how to get me my own life back. there must be a way. There's always a way, and if I can't find the way in a certain direction, it's because I need to go somewhere else. I need to look somewhere else. So I just felt deeply, intuitively, that I just wasn't looking in the right place. So at that point, I was really determined that I'm going to figure out how to do this myself. And I remember going home and just making the intention. I don't know who to, I don't know who to, if it was my inner self, the universe, whatever. But remember, at this point, I kind of fell off of my dreaming practice. I really didn't have intensely vivid dreams since I was, 13 or 14 at that point. That's when they started to kind of dwindle away. But I just made a request. Please just show me the way that I need to go. Please, I'm begging you. I just want my life back. I just want to feel better. I am way too young to feel like my life is over. I'm not even kidding. It felt that way because I couldn't work. I didn't have friends. I couldn't even leave the house. I couldn't even, every day waking up, was just horrible, horrible pain. And if anybody's curious, the only way that I can describe it is like just a warning for my description, but like there's open cuts or wounds inside of your stomach lining, and it's being like filled with rubbing alcohol or something like that, like really intense stinging, burning, like suffocating pain. And I remember just making that intention, just please show me the way. Show me what I need to do. There has to be something that I can do. And 2 days later, I had a dream. I remember just walking down this suburban street. I all of a sudden realized I was dreaming. The sun was beaming through the trees. It was so beautiful and so vivid. If you've never had a lucid dream, it feels more real than this reality. It feels hyper realistic, hyper vivid, so colorful, like you're not limited to all of your human senses. It felt like that. And I just remember getting lucid, so becoming aware that I'm dreaming and just looking around. And all of a sudden I see this white truck park across the street. And this guy gets out with long blonde hair, and he walks up to me and he says, "Hey, I'm here to help you heal your stomach like you asked for." I didn't know what to think. I was pretty shocked, obviously. I didn't expect that to happen. And I just said yes. I just nodded. I was like, yeah. And he said, "Okay, just follow me and I'm going to take you to a healing pool of water." I didn't really know what that meant, I mean, I definitely didn't expect this to happen within my dream, especially after everything I've gone through in waking life to get this figured out over, years and years of feeling helpless, and just trying everything that I possibly could. And all of a sudden, this guy just shows up in my dreams and tells me to follow him and that he's gonna help me with this. I ended up following him, and he says that we are just going to this person's house who has a swimming pool in the back, and that's the healing pool of water. And again, your brain cannot tell what is imaginary, what you're dreaming about, what's actually happening. So my brain is thinking this is an actual real experience. We end up getting to this house, and we just walk in. He's like, "All right, it's right in the back. The swimming pool's right in the back." We walk through the front door. No one seemed to be there. We walk all the way through the house and open up the back door, and the entire family is just cooking on the barbecue in the backyard. They're just like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" And they offer me an otter pot from the freezer. So I go and get one, and I still know I'm dreaming. I just thought it would be fun to try it. And boy, I'm glad I did, because what's cool about lucid dreaming is all of your senses are heightened. So your sense of touch, your sense of smell, your taste, everything. So it was like the best tasting thing I've ever had. I'm telling you, in your next lucid dream, you have to try eating your favorite food or listening to your favorite music, just willing it to happen. Or if you are lucid, you can actually even manifest things in the palm of your hand if you are, if you have enough awareness within the dream. And we're going to talk about how to build that later in this podcast. But this is a very, very, very powerful experience to the brain. And I remember just being so blown away just by even how the otter pop tasted. I remember getting in the pool of water after that. It was just like this little swimming pool, and oh my gosh, the feeling of the water on my skin was crazy. Like, keep in mind, I only really had like nightmares before this. As far as lucid dreams, I was always trying to wake myself up from a lucid dream. So actually having one where I got to explore my senses and look at the world really, really closely and really immerse myself in it, I wasn't used to. So like even the feeling of the water was intense. Like even sound, like hearing the water as I splashed around, it was crazy. One thing I really remember was the sunlight. It was reflecting on the water, and it was just like glistening and sparkly, and I could not believe that I was dreaming, that there was this much detail. And all that he said is, once you get in here, just stay in here and just affirm that it's done, pretty much, or something along those lines. And so what I did is I just started saying thank you for my healing. I was just I guess it must have been intuition, because I'm telling you, like, I fell off of my dream practice. I intuitively knew that there was another way I was going to be able to kind of deal with this physical pain that I was experiencing. I did not know it was going to come in the form of dreams. So all of this was just crazy, and I just kind of went along with it. But I just remember saying, thank you for my healing. Thank you for my healing. And again, your brain thinks it's a real experience, and affirmations and like speaking in the lucid dream is really powerful, because you're inside of your subconscious mind when you're lucid dreaming. Obviously, these are things I found out later after I started really working with my dreams and lucid dreaming after this, but I didn't know that it was affecting me the way that it was. So when I was showing gratitude for my healing, to my brain, it already happened, because gratitude is the state of already receiving something. And so using that to my advantage in the lucid dream, I didn't even know really what I was doing, I guess. And I just remember saying, thank you for my healing. Thank you for my healing. And I put my hands on my stomach intuitively. And all of a sudden the sunlight like connected to the palms of my hands, and it shot light like through my body, into my stomach, through my body. And all of a sudden, the dream started to like shake, like violently shake. And now, after, having experience with lucid dreaming and stuff after that, I now know that means like a big change happened within the dream state, at least to me personally. Like when I do some sort of work within the dream state, and I do a lot of inner work in my lucid dreams, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But when something profound happened, my dreams were, inside the dream will shake. And that happened for the first time, and I didn't really know what was happening. But all of a sudden, the dream just started to fade. So the last thing I remember was having my hands on my stomach in the healing pool of water, being surrounded by that family and that random dude that came to come like help me. I just remember it fading. And I'm telling you, every single day before this, while I was dealing with the IBS, the gastritis, the esophagitis, the ulcers, whatever, every day I woke up, physical pain was my alarm clock. Every day. I woke up out of this dream. All I said was, whoa. And I was just sitting there thinking about the dream. And I realized, oh my God, I don't feel any pain right now. That was the first day in like 6 or 7 years that I didn't feel any physical pain upon waking up. And I can't wait to have Chance on this podcast so he can talk about this from his perspective. But that was the first day that I wasn't in pain, that I actually woke up from a dream and not like feeling an intense physical pain in my body. And I just remember, and again, I was on 8 medications at this time, I just remember thinking, this is like the best that I've felt in so long. I'm just going to see how long it lasts naturally, before I take the medication, because I also felt like a zombie on that medication. And so any chance that I had to, not take that immediately, I was going to do. And I'm not even kidding. I swear on my life, that was the last time I took that medication. And after the first day of not taking that medication, that's when I got really excited. And then I really started to work with my dreams and lucid dreaming. And after that day of like not taking my medications and feeling like not only so shocked and in disbelief, but just feeling like I can't even explain the feeling. I cried of gratitude just having one day where I felt like a normal person. And now after that dream, I get to feel like that every day, which is incredible. And I think the reason why it was able to have such powerful change on me is because I kept working with my dreams and lucid dreaming after that. And so I was able to go back in the dream and quote unquote touch up my, my healing or whatever you want to call it. I would basically go in the dream and do the same thing that I did that created that change in the swimming pool, with cleansing my body with the light and showing gratitude within the dream. Like I followed that same process several times in different ways, and then I tested it out with different things, and I really just started to play with it and experiment and literally become my own scientist with dreaming and lucid dreaming. And what's cool is I got several endoscopies before this experience, and they all show scratches and erosions on the inside of my stomach, and they don't necessarily know what caused it, but they were pretty sure it's like stress and anxiety and stuff. And I literally got an endoscopy after the fact, like several months after, maybe like 5 months after or whatever, because obviously it was so much at once. I wasn't just going to run to the doctor and be like, hey, I feel great, I want an endoscopy, like that's my first thought. I'm like, okay, I feel great, like let's see what happens and what we can do with this. But I went to go get an endoscopy later, and I literally have the records of both the endoscopy before and after. Scratches and erosions are gone. I'm not gonna lie, every once in a while I'll get like a tiny bit of discomfort if I get like stressed or I'm dealing with like a really stressful situation. For example, October of 2021, I cared for my grandmother in hospice, and I definitely felt some discomfort then. And I call it kind of an attack. It's sudden, really sharp pain that can last who knows how long. And I definitely dealt with that while I was caring for her in hospice, but that's kind of expected. But I feel amazing now. And I am so grateful and excited that I get to talk to you guys about this, because I want to show you what is possible through your own mind, through something that happens naturally. Dreaming is a natural part of our biology, and if you sleep, you dream. And if you dream, you can lucid dream. And there's so much you can do with your dreams. Outside of just lucid dreaming, there's tons of ways that you can work with your regular non-lucid dreams that we're going to talk about. I mean, you can even decode powerful symbolism from the subconscious mind just from using what's in your dream journal. There's so many tools and techniques that we're going to cover within this time together, but I just want you to know how powerful you are, how powerful your mind is, and how powerful your dreams are. And it's not just dreaming, it's allowing yourself to go to a different place consciously, to bring back knowledge, to bring back clarity, guidance, inspiration, beautiful experiences that a lot of the time you can't even have in this waking reality. Dreams can give us so much, and I couldn't even believe that this was possible. And I mean, what I obviously think it is the placebo effect, which is the body's ability to be able to heal itself. We see this in the medical field a lot, right? They use sugar pills sometimes with patients who have a specific diagnosis or issue, and they see how it compares with the actual medication. So there's proof that the body can heal itself if the belief is in a specific place. If the belief is that your body thinks it's taking something that will create an effect, will allow it to heal itself or create a difference, and because my brain thought that I was actually in a healing pool of water and I was showing gratitude for a healing, it had to exist to the brain, right? And so I truly believe that it was the placebo effect that allowed me to be able to have that experience. It's the same experience that I talked about with the athletes, right? Running, doing squats and lifting weights within the lucid dream state, and then them actually improving in speed, accuracy, and muscle mass in the waking state. I think it's the same mechanism. So after that experience, I really was so excited and curious, and I really started getting obsessed with dream work and lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences and learning all that I could and testing all that I could. I was talking to as many people as I could about it, right? Everywhere I went, that was like one of the first things I would talk to strangers about because I was just so excited. And since then, I've been able to work with so many different people, friends, and clients, and really push the boundaries of what is possible through consciousness and dream work practices. And fortunately, I still haven't been able to find where that limit is. You know, I've had clients who have been able to improve their skin conditions, their depression, their PTSD nightmares, their anxiety, menstrual cramps, headaches, and even help them be able to prepare for certain opportunities that were coming into their waking life. There's so many things that can be done through dream work and lucid dreaming. When people come up to me or clients ask me, what can I do through lucid dreaming? It's so difficult for me to answer that question because it is such a huge topic. I just like to ask them, well, it depends. What do you desire to do in your life and through dream work? And then I help them create a path to explore that. Because if lucid dreaming can physically create a difference in my life, imagine what it could do emotionally. Imagine all of the different parts of myself that I could meet. Even the shadow is an archetype that you can meet within your lucid dreams. Imagine being able to connect with the deepest parts of yourself that need the most love and awareness, and be able to provide that to yourself while you're sleeping, and wake up with that experience, wake up with that change. So powerful. So I hope that gets you a little bit excited for what is to come and what we're going to explore. And, I know there's going to be some people who find that story, maybe hard to believe. And I don't blame you. Like, that's why that never even crossed my mind when I was going through all that. Like, hey, let me just try this. I would have never imagined that was possible. And I'm so grateful that there's so much about this reality that I don't know about, because it keeps everything so alive. It keeps me curious. It keeps me hungry to learn and explore more. So I want you guys to be curious about what is possible. And I want you guys to test it out yourself. Please let me know what you guys are desiring to explore in your lucid dreams next. If whether you already had something in mind, or maybe this experience sparked something for you, whatever it is, I would love to hear about what you guys are wanting to explore or create through dream work, lucid dreaming. And of course, this podcast is also based on personal development. And I found that these practices go hand in hand with personal development, and you can really use them both beautifully together. And that's one of my favorite things to do with dream work. So I can't wait to get into that with you guys. So before we end this episode, I want to end it on a question that was submitted by a viewer. And their question is, why are there dreams that I still remember for months, sometimes years? So what's interesting about our experience in waking life is every single thing that we see, every single thing that is said or we hear or we experience, smell, taste, whatever, is stored within the subconscious mind. And we can actually go back and visit those experiences, those times in our life, and even those sensations that the body experienced, taste, smell, touch, maybe a song that you heard a few times when you were a child. All of that is saved inside your subconscious mind, and it can be explored through your dreams. What's cool is it also works the other way as well. And all the dreams that we have are saved inside of our subconscious mind. And we can actually go back to dream places that we've dreamt about that we've never went to in waking life, for example. And sometimes there's dreams that stick out more than other ones. I'm sure there's several people who have had dreams that they didn't even need to write down, that they just did not forget. And I believe that it could be for several reasons. First of all, let's talk about what creates a memory in waking life. Think about the things that you remember the most in waking life. The situations or the times in your life that you remember the most. There's probably an emotion connected to it, right? It's probably either like a traumatic experience that you remember, or maybe a really beautiful, happy experience you remember. The reason that we remember things more than other things, or the reason why we remember experiences more than others, is usually because there's an emotion attached to that experience. And when we experience something with a strong emotion, it's almost like the subconscious takes a snapshot of that moment, and it's kind of saved within our mind as significant. So what I would like to ask this person who submitted this question is, are the dreams that you are remembering emotionally significant in some way? And also, to add on to that, there might be dreams that we remember that we don't see as significant, but they're actually extremely important. And your subconscious mind uses dreams to speak with you directly. I always say that the subconscious mind, when you dream, it's like the subconscious mind sending you letters, but through images, so the form of dreams and dream content. But it's our job to be able to decipher these messages and learn our subconscious's language so we can communicate with our subconscious through our dreams. So if you have a dream that seems really vivid, that you remember really, really clearly, I feel like that's the subconscious mind wanting that dream to stand out to you. There's something significant or profound in there that you may receive from that dream. So I would work with that a little bit more to uncover some of the symbolism within the dreams that you remember, because I definitely think that we remember them for a reason. Same with the memories that we have in waking life. I believe that we remember them for a reason, right? They were significant in our life in some way, whether it was in a positive way or what we consider in a negative way. I believe that the more potent the experience or the dream is, the more potential is within that. So something maybe we can heal, explore, or learn to see another perspective of. I always think that what we dream about is being brought to us for a reason, and I believe there's symbolism in every single dream that we have that we can uncover. I truly believe that all dreams are something that we can work with. I can't wait to review some dream journal entries with you guys during this podcast, whether they're my dreams or some of your guys' dreams. I would love to do a mix of both, and we can uncover some symbolism together and talk about how we can actually learn to speak our subconscious mind's language. So this is going to be the end of today's podcast. I really, really enjoyed this time with you guys. If you have an experience that you would like to share or a question that you would like to ask, you can leave a question or an experience in the form for this podcast, which you can find in my link tree. My link tree is full of resources, so you can find that in the description. So guys, if you like this podcast, make sure to rate and review it so I, as well as other people, know that this podcast brings value in some way. Check out my YouTube channel at 𝘿𝙍𝙍𝙍𝙍 for more of this type of content, and my second channel, the Lucid Mystic's Sleep Music, if you would like access to free binaural beats ambient sleep music that you can listen to nightly. And again, for all other resources such as merch like this hoodie that I'm wearing right now that says, "Are You Dreaming?", Patreon and community hubs and more, make sure to check out the link tree in the description. It has all of that good stuff so you can stay up to date on resources and stay connected with me. All right, and that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining in this episode. And with that being said, I will see you next time to Lucidity and beyond.